Hey guys, welcome to the Weekend Look Ahead. I am Justin Strawn, the managing editor at For Whom the Cowbell Tolls. Appreciate you guys watching this video that, like I said, trying to get this video series started. We're going to take a look at what Mississippi State has to do if they want to win this weekend against the BYU Cougars. I don't think it's going to be that difficult of a game. This should be a relatively easy win for the Bulldogs as BYU comes into Starkville. It's not going to be like Auburn. It's not going to be like Georgia. You don't have a team that is got a really loaded front seven that can really get after the running game, get after the quarterback. So I don't expect it to be quite like it was this past 2 weeks when Mississippi State is taking on Auburn and Georgia. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and look at the first thing they have to do. And I think that is they have to get back to being Mississippi State. That means establishing the run game. They've got to use Nick Fitzgerald. They've got to use Aris Williams, get some of the younger guys mixed in there as well. Kylan Hill, all those guys, you want to get them involved. You want the running game to be dominant. You want them to be putting constant pressure on the front seven. That way BYU is bringing up an 8th or a 9th guy to help stop the run, because that opens up the rest of the offense. If Mississippi State can't run the football, they're not going to win, and that's just all there is to it. This team is built around the run, and if they're not going to be able to do that, then it's going to be very difficult for Mississippi State to win these games. They should be able to do this against BYU. BYU is just simply not that good. They're not the type of team that can really exploit a team in terms of stopping the run game and taking that away from them. So Mississippi State needs to be able to do that. They need to get back to running the football, making that the primary way in which they move the football down the field. And I want to really see Nick Fitzgerald have a breakout running game. I want to see him have a 120, 130, 140 yard rushing game this week. I want to see those big runs that we got so accustomed to last year. That's what I'm looking for this week when Mississippi State takes on BYU. Second thing they need to do is they need to cut down on all the big plays on defense. That's what killed Mississippi State against Auburn and Georgia. Now, you should be able to do this week with BYU. That shouldn't be such an issue going into this game. Now, we'll see if it ends up being that way, but it shouldn't be such a huge issue for Mississippi State to be able to not be burned by big plays so much when they take on BYU. You're not going to have a quarterback who can take advantage of it. You should be able to control the BYU running game with just your front seven. You shouldn't have to have the safeties creeping up like they were against Auburn and Georgia and finding themselves leaving the secondary completely wide open for those big plays. The safeties need to be there to give help to the DBs, to the corner. So that's one of the things I'm going to be looking for when Mississippi State takes on BYU this week. Are they cutting down on these big, huge plays that they've been giving up pretty frequently here in the previous two games against Auburn and Georgia? Third thing I want to see Mississippi State do is cut down on the turnovers. I want a turnover-free game. I want to see Mississippi State not turn the football over and not give BYU any chance to get back into the game or to equalize the game just because of turnovers. If BYU comes in and they are able to force a couple of turnovers, force a couple of interceptions, force a fumble, and get good field position, that's going to be one of the things that could keep them in the game. It's probably going to be the only thing that can keep them in the game. If Mississippi State is playing clean football in terms of taking care of it and not giving it back to BYU when they shouldn't be, then Mississippi State should be okay. That's going to be one of the few areas where Mississippi State needs to improve upon. They've done a pretty good job the first 3 games, but Nick Fitzgerald threw a few interceptions the last 2 games. A few of them weren't his fault. A few more pop-ups. That goes on the receivers. So we'll just see how they do, but I don't want to see Mississippi State turning the football over quite a bit like we saw previously in the Auburn and Georgia game. The last thing I want to see, I think this might be the most important thing, I want to see that Mississippi State isn't making all this stuff about Jamal and Reggie Todd just lip service. I want to see these 2 guys actively involved in the offense. I want to see them out there making plays, being consistent, and Nick Fitzgerald being able to trust those 2 guys and seeing Mississippi State doing an active part to make sure that those 2 guys are a bigger part of the offense. They're going to need them if they want to win these 6 of the last 7 games. It'd be great if you could do it against them and get them incorporated to be more of a threat against Alabama, but at this point, you just have to kind of concede Alabama. If you end up playing better than you thought you could, then hey, that's great. You're in good shape with them. But I want to see Mississippi State Get out there, get those two guys involved. That way they can take advantage of Texas A&M's secondary. They can take advantage of Ole Miss and Arkansas having to bring extra guys up into the box to try to stop the running game. Because if they don't, then it's going to be difficult to win a whole lot of these games. Now, I know a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are really disappointed in the way that the Bulldogs have played against Auburn and Georgia. I understand that. I'm upset about it too as well. But those games are gone. It's over. I want to see Mississippi State really get back to doing what they can do. And I think Mississippi State should be able to win, if not 6 of the last 7 games, at least 5 of the last 7 games. There's no reason this team can't go 8-4. There's no reason this team can't go 9-3. Texas A&M, yeah, they played against Alabama really well. They didn't win. They're still going to struggle. I don't see that any way that Texas A&M doesn't come out of that game beat up, battered, and start to have their annual post-Alabama slide that they always have. It's going to happen again this year. But the only way that Mississippi State gets back on track is they come out on Saturday and they dominate. That way you can go into Texas A&M and win that game. That way you can go to Arkansas and win in Fayetteville. That way when Kentucky comes to town, they can understand that the only reason they're 5-1 is because of the fact that they have played a whole bunch of cupcakes. So this is what you need to do if you're the Bulldogs. You need to come out, establish yourself, be the aggressor, and really take down BYU quickly and early, and go from there and just use this to springboard you into the rest of your season. The toughest part of the season is behind the Bulldogs. When they took on LSU, Georgia, and Auburn, we knew that was going to be a difficult stretch. It was, but it's over now. There's nothing that we can do about those last 2 games. They were ugly. They weren't pretty. But Mississippi State has done what they need to do. Mississippi State needs to come out and do what they need to do this weekend, establish their dominance, and really take BYU to town. And those are the ways in which I think they do it. So appreciate you guys tuning into this. And until next time, Hail State.